Hello friends, my name is Ramasu. Today we shall discuss about topic the collect requirements process. Friend, today's topic is very interesting, especially if you have interest in project management or you are planning to give exam of PNT in your future. So let's start. First of all, I would request to please subscribe to my YouTube channel and click on the bell option as well so that my videos can reach to you, and also you can follow me on the Facebook page as well. Friend, collect requirement is basically a process defined in the PMBOK Guide, Project Management Body of Knowledge. Basically, this book is issued by PMI, Project Management Institute, which is a non-profit based organization, and this process is very important to understand, especially if you are a person who wants to understand the project management, or you are planning to give exam of PMP. So collect requirement is basically a process of the project scope management, and this process belongs to the initiation phase and sets the foundation for successful project planning and execution. Now see, friend, whenever we are initiating any project, so we have to make a scope. Means that what are the things which are we are going to deliver, and what are the things which are not part of the scope, or you can say out of the scope or out of the boundary, which we are not going to deliver. So in that process of scope basically, we have a very important process called as collect requirement means that basically you sit with the customer, try to understand his objective, that what he wants to achieve from the project, his expectations, and try to understand that what actually he wants to achieve. And once you understand, you will document all the things and properly communicate it to the stakeholders and get the sign off from the customer as well. So basically in that process, the first thing is the define stakeholders. Define stakeholders means, friend, the you have to identify and list and groups organizations that may be effective by or can affect the project. Now friend, basically stakeholder is basically a person who has interest, who has stake in a project, positively or negatively. That is called as a stakeholder. For example, the CEO of a customer, customer side, CTO from the customer side, project manager from the customer side, uh, the operation manager from the customer side. So basically all these are the stakeholders. So you have to identify what are the stakeholders from different side, and those stakeholders can belong to internal or external. Internal means that, for example, which belongs to your company, your organization, from the vendor side, for example. So these are the internal stakeholders. External normally means that we are talking about the customer side stakeholders. These can be primary or secondary as well. For example, the primary stakeholder for your side is the project manager from the customer side, and the secondary is the, for example, the you can say the coordinator from the customer side, etc. So you have to identify the stakeholders or the person who have the interest or stake in the project, first thing. Then identify the requirement sources. Sources means that, for example, you have to identify from where you will get the requirements of the project, what actually we have to deliver, what customer want actually. This is the thing. So for example, sources may include like stakeholders from the customer side, for the project team members like the software development team, the QA team, etc., the documentation available already, the industry standards, regulatory requirements, and other relevant sources. So these are the sources through which you can get the requirements, in which out of which the most important source is a stakeholder, the project owner, you can say the functional managers who are belonging to the customer side. Those are the most important sources of the information you can get the requirements. Then you have to make a strategy for collecting the requirements. You have to consider factors such as the number of stakeholders involved, their location, either they are in, for example, in the same location, either they belongs to some other location, their availability, Like for example, if one person is sitting in USA and one stakeholder is in India, for example, so you must have to see how what is their availability and the need for the confidentiality as well. Like obviously they are sharing the confidential information of organization. So basically in this we have to determine the methods and tools to be used for gathering requirements, such as interviews, surveys, workshops, focus groups. So many techniques nowadays available for gathering the requirements. Then next is the conduct stakeholder interviews. That means you schedule a meetings or one-on-one or group interviews with the stakeholders. In that meeting you sit with the customer, talk with them, try to understand what they want to achieve, what are their objectives, what are their pain points, especially what actually they want to achieve from the delivery of the project, actually what they want to get from the requirements. Actually they are sharing their requirement, but basically they are sharing their problem. Basically they are sharing their pain points and they want the solution of that problem. So use open-ended questions to elicit detailed information about their needs, expectations, and constraints they foresee. Constraints mean especially like limitations. For example, they have a limit of time, they have a limit of a cost. Then facilitate workshops. Workshops means that these are the brainstorming sessions in which all persons, relevant persons, are sitting. They are basically collaborating and generating the ideas, discussing different ideas so that they can get some point at some consensus. There are many techniques like mind mapping, affinity diagram, prioritization exercises to identify and document the requirements as well. You can also use the questionnaires and surveys as well, like make questionnaire and distribute it to the stakeholders and get their feedback. Once you get the feedback, analyze their responses to identify common themes, varieties, and potential conflicts. Review the existing documentation is also very important. For example, existing documentation like business process documents, industry standards, scope documents, issue log, and lesson learns, and regulatory requirement to identify relevant requirements. Verify that the collected requirements align with the organizational goals and objectives. These are very important. Next, the prototyping and the model. That means you can make some prototype. For example, you can make a wireframe. For example, you can make a you can say a dummy, some dummy thing. For example, you can make a dummy website, you can make a dummy application, you can make a wireframes on just on the paper. You can make the paper, you can make the application flow so that the stakeholders can visualize the end product and give his feedback. This can be particularly useful for requirements related to user interfaces and system functionalities. After that, you can document the requirements. That means record all identified requirements in a structured manner. This documentation should include a clear description, source, priority, dependencies, and acceptance criteria for each requirement. You can use a requirement traceability matrix to link requirements back to their source and forward to design and testing phase as well. Basically, this is the way of a requirement traceability matrix. Next is the validating and gain sources. Whatever the information you have received, just validate it with the stakeholders and to ensure the accuracy and completeness. If there is any problem, issues, or conflicts or discrepancies, so you have to talk with the stakeholders and try to avoid it, try to resolve it. Then you have to get the formal approval, or you can say the sign off on the requirement document. Once the requirements are signed off, this will become a baseline document. That means the performance of the project will be measured against that baseline document. This baseline serves as the agreed upon foundation for project planning and execution, and any subsequent changes to requirements will be subject to a formal change control process. Communicate the requirements to the stakeholders. Ensure that the finalized requirements are effectively communicated to all project team members and relevant stakeholders. Establish a communication plan to keep stakeholders informed about any changes or updates to the requirement. Then manage the requirement changes as well. If there is any modification or changes occur in the scope in the requirements, so you must have to change, you must have to raise a flag of a change control, and this will be considered as a change request. Assess the impact of the changes on the project scope, schedule, and budget before approving or rejecting them. Okay. Then next is the friend, basically systematically collecting and documenting requirements. In this manner, the project team establish a clear understanding of what needs to be delivered, reducing the likelihood of misunderstandings and scope changes later in the project. This process is fundamental to successful project management and lays the groundwork for subsequent planning activities. So friend, yeah, thank you, thanks a lot for watching the video. I hope you like this video. If you like it, please share it with the friends and colleagues, and thanks a lot for watching the video.